The courtroom was not made for humans. It was too wide, too cold, and the walls were made of metal that hummed with energy. Creatures from every corner of the galaxy sat in their place, some floating, some standing, others wrapped in dark robes. Over 10,000 alien species were present, and billions more watched the trial from across the stars. In the center stood one small figure, a woman, thin, pale, her hands bound in glowing cuffs. She was the last known human in the galaxy. The crowd whispered in strange languages. Some laughed. Others showed teeth or tentacles or blinking lights. That meant amusement in their cultures. They mocked her silently and loudly. Dangerous, one alien judge said. Her kind nearly destroyed our galaxy. Another called her a war criminal, though she had never fought. Some even suggested executing her now, before she could speak a single word. But the woman did not speak. She didn't look afraid either. She looked calm. Her eyes scanned the court slowly, stopping for a moment on each judge. Many of them looked away when her gaze met theirs. There was something behind her eyes, something old, something dangerous. Yes, but also quiet and watchful. She was not here to beg, she was not here to fight. She was here to be heard. The lead judge, a massive creature with 6 golden eyes and a voice like thunder, slammed its gavel. "You are the last of your kind," it said. "You have no allies, no army, no planet. You stand here not as a warrior, but as a memory of terror. Do you understand?" She nodded once. The silence in the room grew heavier. "You may speak," the judge said, "but your words will not save you." The woman looked up. Her voice, when it came, was soft, almost too quiet. "You think you know what we were," she said, "but you only know the stories told by frightened mouths." The judges blinked. The crowd leaned forward. No one laughed now. "You say I am dangerous, that I am the last monster of a violent race. Maybe you're right, but I wonder. I am truly the last. Then why do you still fear me?" No one answered. Even the buzzing translators fell silent for a second. She took a step forward. The cuffs on her wrists glowed brighter, but she didn't stop. "You called us destroyers, but we were protectors first. We helped build your systems. We bled in your wars, gave you weapons to defend yourselves. And when you turned on us, we did not strike back with our full strength." The golden-eyed judge slammed its gavel again. "Enough. These are lies. Human records show your kind burning cities, breaking planets, ignoring peace." She nodded again, calm as before. "Yes, because peace was offered only after you had taken everything. We defended ourselves. I feared what we might become. And so you wrote your own version of history, one where humans were the villains. One where your guilt could hide behind our silence." A screen lit up behind her. Old video footage began to play. Soldiers in dark armor, human soldiers fighting side by side with alien allies, protecting colonies, evacuating civilians, using their bodies as shields. The courtroom gasped. That footage had been deleted from Galactic archives. Someone had hidden it well. "I am not here to ask for freedom," she said. "I am not here to clear my name. I am here so that someone remembers the truth." The judge rose from its seat, taller now, voice louder. "You cannot change the galaxy with words, human." She looked up at him. "Then it is lucky I didn't bring only words." The lights in the courtroom flickered. Somewhere in deep space, a signal had been sent. Signal only ancient human war machines could understand. Somewhere, something old and long asleep began to wake up. Panic flashed across a few alien faces. The woman stayed calm. "You should not fear me," she said. "Not if you believe your own lies. Not if you truly think we are gone." A young alien officer in the crowd stood up. "This is a trick. She's bluffing." But the fear had already started to spread. Fear that maybe, just maybe, the last human was not as alone as they thought. That maybe something was still out there, waiting. She sat down slowly, still in. Chains still surrounded, yet it felt like she had already won. The courtroom was silent. The laughter had died. The fear had returned. And in that cold metal chamber, the galaxy remembered what it tried so hard to forget what it meant to. Stand in front of a human and not understand what came next. The galaxy's most powerful, courtroom remained in silence long after the woman sat down. No one spoke. No one laughed. The video she had shown human soldiers fighting to save alien lives had shaken the room. For centuries, those images were believed to be destroyed, erased from every archive. Now, they had returned, not with guns or ships, but through the quiet voice of one human alone and in chains. The judges gathered in a private circle, their glowing forms flickering nervously. "How did she get that footage?" one whispered. "That was locked behind 17 firewalls," another replied. "There were rumors that humans hid parts of their history where even our machines couldn't see." On the large screen, behind the woman, a second video began to play. This one was different, darker. It showed cities burning, not alien cities, but human ones. Earth. Entire continents scorched by their own people. Ships leaving the planet, then turning around and crashing into invaders. One alien shouted, "They're destroying themselves." But another judge murmured, "No. They're making sure we don't take it." The words appeared on screen, old human code and bold red text. Blackout protocol. No surrender. No capture. No trace. The courtroom trembled. Even those who hated humans most sat back in stunned silence. The woman stood again. Her chains clinked softly. "That footage," she said, "was never meant to be shown. It was our final protocol. When we knew the galaxy would not stop, we chose to stop ourselves first." One judge, smaller than the others, spoke gently. "Why destroy your own world?" She looked at him, her voice still calm. "Because you feared us, and your fear would never stop. We knew that one day you would try to wipe us out completely. So we gave you what you wanted, Silence." A deep, guttural voice echoed from the left side of the court. "You expect us to believe you gave up everything to protect others?" Came from a Gibraltar war general, his scales shifting color in anger. The woman didn't blink. "Yes," she replied. "Because the truth is, we didn't hate the galaxy. We loved it. That's why we fought for it. And when it turned on us, we stepped back. We chose to disappear before we became what you already believed we were." Another judge tapped into an ancient database. He frowned. "There are missing records, whole years, entire battles where humans were present, but no information remains. Why would anyone erase this?" The woman answered, "Because even your own people feared the truth. The truth that maybe humans didn't lose. Maybe we just stopped." A murmur swept through the room. The youngest alien on the council, a feathered species with glowing blue eyes, leaned forward. "Then why come back now? Why let us see all this?" She raised her head, because silence didn't bring peace. It brought lies. You raised your children to fear us. You called us monsters to hide your shame. But I am here to remind you we weren't monsters. We were human, and we chose mercy. A second screen lit up. This time it showed an alien transmission. A message from centuries ago. Desperate call for help from a species that no longer existed. To the humans it said, "We beg you, defend us. They're coming. You're the only ones who can stop them." The screen cut out. The same Gibraltar general shouted, "That was fake. Humans caused those wars." But now even the judges looked unsure. One leaned toward the lead judge and whispered, "If she has access to lost files, what else might she show?" The woman said nothing more. She didn't need to. The silence did the work for her. A strange feeling spread through the court. Not fear this time, but doubt. Doubt in the stories they had believed their whole lives. Doubt in the leaders who told them humans had to be erased. Doubt in the idea that power alone made them safe. The lead judge stood slowly. "We will pause this trial to review new evidence. Until then, the prisoner will be held." The lights blinked again. Only for half a second. But it was enough. Somewhere across the galaxy, in old, forgotten space, ancient machines woke up. Cold metal, long covered in dust and silence, hummed to life. No, they did not speak. They did not ask questions. They simply moved. In the courtroom, one of the guards turned pale. His wrist device flashed a single message. "Human command confirmed." Awaiting final signal, he looked at the woman. She was smiling now, just a little. Not proud, not cruel, just knowing. She had warned them. And somewhere far away, something old. Billions continued to watch the trial across the galaxy. Some on screens, some through thought links. Others through old radio waves because their worlds were still behind. They had all expected a short show, a final judgment of the last human. But now, no one looked away. Something had changed. The trial no longer felt like justice. It felt like a secret being opened. One the galaxy had tried hard to bury. Inside the courtroom, the air was tense. The woman no longer needed to speak. Her silence now held weight. The judges sat still, trying to understand what had just happened. Machines waking, lost footage returning, her calm stare. It didn't make sense, unless the stories about humans had always been wrong. One of the judges finally spoke. "You said you were protectors, not destroyers. Prove it." The woman looked up, her voice steady. "There were once 1,000 worlds that called us heroes. Only a few remain. But even now, the truth survives in their memories." The screen changed again. This time, it showed a peaceful world, green skies, crystal towers, and small, thin aliens with golden eyes. The voice of an old alien came through the speakers. "They saved us," it said, broken and weak. The humans. They didn't ask for payment. They didn't wait. When the raiders came, our allies fled. Oh, but humans stayed and died beside us. The court grew quiet again. The alien speaking had died over 200 years ago. Its race had been wiped out in another war, one the humans had tried to stop. More messages followed. Different species, different times. All telling stories of how humans came when no one else did. How they fought when others hid. How they helped rebuild, even after they were hated. A small alien child's voice came through next. "My father said humans were bad, but my grandfather said one saved him when he was little. So who's right?" Screen went black. No one. In the courtroom answered, the woman stood. "Call me the last, but I am not the end. I am the memory. I am the echo. You feared what we could do, but we feared what we might become. That's why we left. That's why we stayed silent." The lead judge leaned forward. "Why return now?" Her eyes looked tired but clear. "Because you called me here. You wanted a final trial. To erase the last voice. But I won't let you rewrite the past again." Another judge whispered, "She's right. This wasn't about justice. It was about control. We lied to ourselves." The Gibraltar general stood again, his voice angry. "Even if some humans did good, your kind still caused death, pain, terror. That cannot be denied." She didn't argue. "Yes," she said. "We were capable of great destruction. But we also stopped wars. Others refused to stop. We ended threats no one else dared face." More screens lit up. Battle after battle. Humans not as conquerors, but as defenders. Defenders of weak colonies. Shields between tyrants and the helpless. The footage was raw, violent, real. Human soldiers, screaming in pain, fighting with broken limbs, carrying alien children to safety. "I don't show you this to be forgiven," she said. "I show you this because history must be whole, not half, not painted with fear alone." The youngest judge, the feathered one, looked troubled. "Why did we never see this before?" She answered simply, "Because truth is dangerous." To those who build power on lies, the lead judge turned to his counsel. "We cannot decide now. Trial must be paused again." Before anyone could respond, another alert sounded. A signal, not an attack, not a threat. It was a greeting. Across the stars, machines once built by humans were responding to each other. It's quiet messages, safe words, ancient codes of alliance and defense. They were not activating weapons. They were opening archives. Lost human knowledge was being shared again. The court screens flickered with blueprints. Medical research, energy designs, star maps files, more advanced than anything the galaxy had today. Gifts from a vanished race. The woman looked at the judges. We were not just soldiers. We were builders, thinkers, dreamers. You feared our strength and forgot our mind. One alien in the crowd whispered, then maybe we lost more than we ever knew. The woman said nothing. She didn't need to, because now the galaxy was beginning to understand. Humanity had not vanished. It had simply waited. The next galactic day. The courtroom reopened, but something felt different. The laughter was gone. The smug smiles on alien faces were missing. The air inside the great chamber was thick, not with fear, but with confusion and something deeper, doubt. The trial was no longer about punishment. It had become something else, something heavier. Now, every species watched, not to judge, but to understand what they had forgotten, or what they had been made to forget. The woman stood quietly in the center again, chains still on her wrists, but no longer looking like a prisoner. She had not moved, not spoken all night. And yet, while she remained silent, the galaxy had changed. Overnight, across hundreds of systems, old machines had come back online. Drones with human coding, satellites from forgotten wars, beacons that had not beeped in generations. They didn't fire weapons. They didn't attack. They simply announced themselves. The words on their signals were the same. Human signal detected. Awaiting final command. It caused chaos. Some thought it was a threat. Others believed it was a warning. But a few began to wonder, what if it was just a reminder? In the courtroom, the lead judge's voice cracked slightly as he spoke. Your machines are waking. Is this part of your revenge? The woman finally looked up. Revenge. No. If I wanted revenge, I wouldn't be standing here talking. One of the older judges, a long, worm-like creature, hissed, then explained why now. Why wake them? I didn't wake them, she said. You did. The trial. The broadcast. The lies repeated on every system. It triggered their protocols. They were built to watch, to wait, to listen for truth or danger. Now they've heard both. The room fell into stunned silence. You made this happen, she continued. Not me. My kind buried those machines deep in space, far from life. We hoped they'd never wake again. But they're armed, shouted the Gibraltar general. They're ready to act. The woman nodded slowly. Yes, because that's what they were made for. Not to attack, but to protect. If you tell them the galaxy is safe, they'll sleep again. But if you continue lying, continue fearing, continue pushing, they will act. On your orders? Asked the lead judge. She shook her head. No, I'm not their commander. I'm just a signal now, a voice they remember. That's all. A nervous whisper spread through the court. Someone from the crowd, a translator species, called out. What happens if someone else tries to use them? The woman's answer came quickly. They won't respond to fear or threats. They respond to truth, to peace. And if there is none, they protect what remains. A new alert rang out. A nearby system had just received an unexpected visitor, human drone. It entered orbit, scanned the planet, and dropped a container. Inside were food packs, medical supplies, and power cells. No weapons, just help. The court watched the video in silence. The woman spoke again. Those drones were built for war, but they were also built for hope. We always gave both. You feared the sword and ignored the hand that offered it. One of the younger judges whispered, and we called you monsters. She looked at him. You needed someone to blame. We were easy to hate. Strong, strange, proud, but strength without kindness is only half the story. The lead judge leaned back, tired now. We mocked your plea, laughed at your words. But your silence? It changed something. You're not like the stories told to us. The woman gave a small nod. That's because I didn't come here to win. I came to remind you who we were, so you could choose who you become. At that moment, a drone signal reached the courtroom. Direct message. Simple text. Human confirmed. Court under observation. Status. Not hostile. Waiting final verdict. Gasps filled the chamber. One judge rose in panic. They're watching us now? The woman turned slowly toward him. They've always been watching. They were never far. They just hoped they'd never be needed again, another judge muttered. She's not a prisoner anymore. She's a test. The woman didn't argue. The message had been delivered. Not through force, not through threats, but through truth and history, and silence more powerful than any weapon. The judges looked around at each other. None dared speak further, because the galaxy now knew. For the first time in living memory, the galactic court chambers stood in quiet reflection. No shouting, no laughter. Even the ever-buzzing translation drones hovered silently, unsure if they should continue. The trial had changed. It was no longer a punishment. It had become a mirror, showing every species something they had not wanted to see. The woman stood where she had always been, in the center of it all. Her chains still glowed faintly around her wrists, but no one was looking at them anymore. No one truly believed she was dangerous now, not in the way they once thought. But something about her presence made even the oldest judges uncomfortable. She didn't threaten them. She didn't argue, and that made her harder to fight. One of the judges, from a race of living crystals, finally broke the silence. Why did we never know? It asked. Why didn't anyone tell us the full story? The woman looked at him, her voice soft, because someone made sure you wouldn't. The room shifted uncomfortably. The lead judge narrowed his 6 golden eyes. Who? She stared at him. Ask your own history councils. Your own command. Archives. Somewhere deep inside your records, the truth is buried. You'll find documents marked sealed by order of alliance or restricted by court order. You'll find evidence of peace talks with humans, of shared missions, of last-minute betrayals, not by us, but by your own species. A wave of unease moved through the chamber. Another judge, one from the hollow-boned Ferric Empire, activated his internal memory log. Within seconds, his eyes widened. She's right, he said. There are records marked deleted, but the titles remain. One is called the Human Protection Pact. A gasp rose from the crowd. That document had only ever been a rumor, a tale of how, centuries ago, the galaxy's weakest species begged humanity to act as guardians. In return, humanity would be left in peace. But then, humanity disappeared, and the rumor was forgotten now. It stood in front of them, alive. You broke your own pact, the woman said quietly. Not all of you, but enough. You used us to end your wars, to protect your borders. And when the fear returned, you chose to erase us, because it was easier than admitting you needed us. The lead judge rubbed his forehead. This is too large. We would need time, investigations, a full re-examination of galactic records. You had centuries, she interrupted. You only needed to listen. The Gibraltar general stood again, but this time he looked different. Less angry, more confused. If this is true, then why are you still here? Why didn't you leave after showing us all this? You could have escaped or attacked, but you stay. She looked at him, and for the first time, her eyes showed pain. Real, deep human sorrow, because I still hoped, she said. Hoped that. Even after everything, the galaxy could face the truth. That someone, anyone, would stand up and say, we were wrong not to praise humanity. Not to ask forgiveness, but simply to be honest. Because without honesty, peace means nothing. Birds hung heavy in the air. A moment later, something unexpected happened. A message appeared on the court's main screen, not from a judge. Not from the court, but from the crowd. A small planet, unimportant, ignored by the powerful, had sent a public declaration. It read, our records confirm her story. Humans saved our world. We were told to keep it quiet. We will be silent no longer. A second message appeared, then a third, then dozens more from outer colonies, forgotten moons, abandoned trade stations, all confirming what the woman had said. Some thanked humans, some begged for their return, some simply said, we remember. The judges looked at one another, stunned. The woman watched without emotion. This was never about me, she said. I am just a reminder. But your people are the ones who must decide what comes next. The lead judge's voice was almost a whisper now. And what is it you want from us? She paused. The room held its breath. Then she said, clearly and softly, nothing. No punishment? No? No forgiveness? No? Then why come at all? She looked around slowly, eyes resting on each judge in turn. To give you one last chance. To choose truth. A final message flashed onto the main court screen. A simple line from an ancient human code book, long thought destroyed. Truth does not demand peace. It only makes peace possible. So no one spoke after that. Because now, the truth stood on trial, and no one felt strong enough to argue with it. The galaxy held its breath. Every screen on every world stayed focused on that courtroom. For the first time in centuries, no one was speaking. No one was debating. No one was mocking. All eyes were on the woman, the last human, still standing, still silent. The final stage of the trial had begun, but the judges didn't know what to say. What charge remained, now that the galaxy had seen the truth? What punishment could be given to someone who never fought back, never defended herself with violence, and only brought evidence, memory, and silence? The lead judge looked older now, tired. His voice had lost its strength. We mocked your plea, he said, because we feared what your kind once did. We feared the fire in your blood, the way your kind fought when cornered. But now we see, ... There was more to you. The woman nodded slowly. You saw our fire, never saw our restraint. He hesitated, then asked, what will happen now? Will your machines punish us? She looked up at the high ceiling of the court. They're waiting, watching, but not to attack. They respond to truth, to signals of danger, and to my final words. Everyone leaned forward. One of the judges asked softly, and what will those final words be? She paused, eyes scanning. The chamber, the curved walls, the stone floor, the alien faces once filled with hate, now heavy with shame. Then she stepped forward. The light from her chains flickered once and faded. The cuffs opened. No alarms rang. No guards moved. She was free, and no one stopped her. Her voice was quiet, but every corner of the galaxy heard it. I am not here to destroy you, she said. We had that power. We always did. But we feared what that power would turn us into. We chose silence, exile, even death, because we were afraid of becoming the monsters you already believed we were. She turned slowly, facing the judges. You feared humans for what we might become, but we feared ourselves more.
One of the younger
judges whispered, then why come here now? Why return at all? Her eyes softened, because silence allowed a lie to grow. And the galaxy forgot who we really were. I didn't return for revenge. I came so someone would remember the whole truth. Signal blinked across the courtroom monitors. Drones entering standby mode. Human command. Completed. Message delivered. There was no attack. No warning sirens. No weapons. The ancient machines that had risen across the stars were going back to sleep. They had done what they were made for. Protect the last voice, then wait once more. The Gibraltar general stood one final time. But this time, his posture had changed. Not proud, not defiant, just quiet. Could have ruled the stars, he said. Why didn't you? She smiled faintly. Because ruling was never our goal. We only wanted peace. And when the galaxy chose fear over truth, we stepped away. One final message appeared on the Great Hall's display, not from the drones, not from the court, but from a hidden satellite buried deep in the void between galaxies. It simply read, Human presence. Confirmed. Memory preserved. End transmission. The woman looked to the sky through the transparent dome above the courtroom. A single star blinked in the distance. A coded signal. She took one step back, and then, before anyone could move, before anyone could speak, her body shimmered and vanished. Gone. No ship, no portal, just absence. The courtroom stayed frozen. Had she transported away? Had the machines taken her? Or had she never truly been human at all? No one knew. But from that day forward, the trial was never spoken of as a punishment. It was remembered as a warning, a lesson, a mirror. The Galactic Court never held another like it again. And across the stars, every species, even the proudest, taught their children this: be careful who you call a monster.